Nahu Mikey P. Mike Pribozie here for another In the Money Media Players Podcast, special edition, and another video podcast looking at All Turf Pick 3 for Keeneland Friday, and that's October the 18th. My main man here, Justin Christein, is back. I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast we did for the Turf Pick 3 for Sunday. Lots of winners on that pod there, Justin.
Yeah, Mike, I think between the three of us, we would have had it. I'm not sure if any of us totally connected the dots. I know I wasn't crazy about that horse you pegged in the second leg. But that's the challenge, isn't it? Trying to mesh your opinion with somebody else's and pick up all the right horses. Hopefully somebody benefited.
Yeah, paid really well there. 1,400, I think, over 1,400 there for a $3 ticket. So fantastic return on that. Hopefully we gave you some good ideas there. We certainly had the benefit of Will Humphrey on that pod, and we're going to get him for future shows. He's busy currently for this show, but he'll certainly be back and give us plenty of his perspective of being an exercise rider and former jockey. So lots of good information from him. He's busy also working on some Breeders' Cup trips. So if you're interested in some of the Breeders' Cup trip work that we are doing, inthemoneypodcast.com/plus for all our Breeders' Cup coverage. And you'll have the three of us working on all those trips. And we're going to start putting those out progressively here, Justin, with I think Saturday is going to be the first one we're going to put out there.
Nice. Yeah, I think people will enjoy that. We've been working really hard on those, and we found some good ones already, and we'll continue to dig through those tapes until we've got them all finished.
Well, we're going to look pick 3 for Friday at Keeneland, all turf pick 3. And there's 3 turf races Friday. Hopefully the weather holds out. I think it's supposed to. Starts in race number 4, $3 minimums here, Justin. And this is a conditional allowance race to get us going. Mount a 16th on the grass. I know you told me you like prices, so hit me.
Yeah. I don't really have any strong opinions in this leg, Mike. This is sort of a weird race for me to handicap because I think, every ticket is probably going to include the 2 on the outside, which is the 7 Lukewarm and the 8 Cupid's Crush. I'm going to include those 2. I would much prefer the 7 over the 8. But I'm going to throw 2 more in, with the understanding that those 2 could absolutely win. But I wanted the 4 Stir Crazy. I have Maker a couple times in this sequence. This is just a gut feeling. I have a feeling he's going to heat up this week. And, this horse Stir Crazy certainly fits coming out of the One Dreamer, which was a pretty tough race. First off, a couple of months, and now he comes back and he gets Louis Saez aboard. Should be a little bit closer. I don't see any reason why if he ran his best, she ran her best, she couldn't win. And then I'm also going to throw in the 5, She's Fire. I'm pretty certain that horse is going to be on the lead. I don't think Gutierrez is going to send to the lead on Hidden Connection. So I bank on this horse getting the lead. And, when this horse has been clear at the half-mile pole, he's run really good. Twice he's been clear at the half-mile pole and finished his races off. Now, his last on September 20th, that was the Pre-Esk Masters, and that was a tough race. I mean, you see Roses for Deborah. Pandora's Gift came back and ran really well in that stake last week. So I don't fault this horse for going fast early and throwing in a towel in that race. I want him stretching out as well. So I'm 4, 5, 7, and you know what? I told you I would play the 8 as an A. I would probably move the 8 down to the B line and trim this ticket a little bit. I'd go 4, 5, 7 in the A line, and then the 8 as a B.
Agree on a couple of those. I'm only using 2, and that's the 4 and the 7 there. I agree on Stir Crazy. Really, no chance, I don't think, in that One Dreamer. That the horses that went 1-2 around the racetrack there. And this horse made up ground in the stretch, was really just too far back. No chance at all coming off the bench there. Prior lines fit. If you look back, that 3X at Churchill back in June, that was a nice race there. It was favored there. That was this horse's second win in a row. So I won an off the turf race. That was Derby weekend. And has raced well when brought here to this racetrack. Now that race on April 11th that was another one off the grass, but ended up second in there to Rotown, who ended up being a stakes type. So this horse has some back class, has a prep, I would say, and was against it, certainly at Kentucky Downs on September 5th. I think it's a good spot for this one, and would definitely be a use for me. And then the 7 Lukewarm, I think, is tough to leave off. 4 straight wins. Just missed a neck there, too, back in April. So almost 5 in a row there. This horse only has 6 lifetime starts and has ascended the class level, has raced all over the place. Pimlico, Delaware, Colonial, Kentucky Downs, all wins. Now shows up at Keeneland. And I'm not crazy about the Canterbury horse. That's the 8. Now, that horse could certainly probably run me over, has some big figures there, but probably it's going to have to prove it to me. That race back at Keeneland on October 6th of last year finished 9th out of 9 horses. So has to class up. Give me the 4, give me the 7 to start out in this pick 3.
Yeah. Hey, Mike, let me just add one more thing on the 5, She's Fire. The only 2 times that she's gotten Lasix, she's won. She gets Lasix again today. So that's another check mark in her corner. Wanted to point that out for people.
Yeah, I could see adding that one as a B, just on class alone. Some of those last 2 races are pretty difficult. Then a couple wins prior to that. But again, I do think maybe the distance, that could be the question.
For sure.
Race number 8, second leg of this all-turf pick 3. It's a 2X allowance, 5.5, Justin. Here, you are going to go to a 20-1 morning line shot.
Yeah. Now, I don't think she'll be 20-1. However, we got the number 2 makeup. So let me build my case for this horse. 3-year-old filly, has a right to continue to improve. On July 13th, her first race as a 3-year-old, doesn't say it in the comment line, but she steadied early and then came running and beat that field pretty easily in the end, if you go back and watch that tape. Her next race on August 12th was a much tougher race than this. I mean, you'd see Moonlight Lady, who ran first. She came back and ran second behind Cloudwalker at Keeneland. And then Nikki Nine Doors and Crown Imperial were also stakes runners. So on top of that, it was an incredibly slow pace. She had no chance in that race facing tougher. And then in her last, I don't mind the Kentucky Downs effort at all. She's going to be, in my mind, drafting right behind the 3 and the 4. I mean, she might not be sitting third, but she's going to get a good trip somewhere right behind those 2, not as far back as she has been in the last couple. So all of that to me says that she's the horse I want in this race. And it's as much, I'm not including any of the others, as much by default. You know, how about them apples, I guess, can win with the blinkers on, but this horse never seems to want to finish the deal. Port Townsend's 2 best races came on the Fairgrounds turf. In my mind, a lot of times what happens on the Fairgrounds turf stays on the Fairgrounds turf. And then I guess the morning line favorite we have to cover, and maybe you'll be talking more about the 3, Just a Care. I don't know. I mean, I guess this horse can win. And if you're just looking at Beyer speed figures, you know, this horse is a standout, and that's probably why she was made 2-1 in the morning line, because a lot of people do look at speed figures. I don't really care about speed figures going 5.5 on the turf. So I'm not all that interested. And you see all these layoff lines. You know, she's probably a little bit ouchy. She's now only making her second start as a 4-year-old in mid-October. So I'm going to leave her off my ticket. I'm going to be lone A with the 20-1 makeup here in the second leg, Mike.
Now, what's your take on the jockey here? Anything that any thoughts
now,
there?
Yeah, would I rather see Saez or Ortiz or Gaffleone? Yeah, of course. But that might hold up the price, and I don't mind this kid riding for his dad, and I'm perfectly fine with him going this trip. Now, if the Asmussen was riding from the 10, 11, 12 hole, it would give me pause for concern. But I don't see any way he doesn't get a really good trip here. And anything 10 to 1 or better, I think is value in this horse.
All right, not using. I might add just on your recommendation, because if I'm not going to maybe miss this ticket if this horse would happen to come through, especially since you like this one so much. I have 3 horses in here. The 4, how about them apples? You mentioned that one. 4 to 1 morning line, third back, shown speed. You get blinkers now. It's Safi. Now he's 0 for the meet, but he can certainly pop with one. And this horse just has some back lines here. Probably is going to be off of it. Has raced all over the course. If you look back to April of this year, from an outside post, ended up second whenever bet. I think that one's a use. The 8 is Isabel Alexandra. Now, this horse ships in from New York, has prior grass lines at Gulfstream, has a prior grass line, a couple grass lines here, and was a second and a third for Delgado. And another one maybe is a little light on figures, and probably is going to get a mid-pack type of trip. But you get Raylu. I do think Raylu is very good away from the gate. I do think that maybe this horse could be a little closer here in a race that maybe lacks a little speed. And that's why I find this one interesting. 12 to 1 morning line is a use for me. And then we don't have Will here to give us perspective on the motion horse, the one Golden Hostess. This is another South African shipper, was racing well down there, facing stakes types. You get Lasix, you get Gaffleon, which I find very interesting. He's about as on fire as it could possibly get. And, I do think that this barn excels with these types. If you remember, he won with a South African shipper back at Colonial on a stake day earlier this year. So I would love to have Will's perspective on this. If we get some, maybe we'll add it in the comments for you guys or tweet about it. But I do think this horse is used. You're not going to have the benefit of the board here to be able to see if this horse takes money. No. But 6 to 1 morning line, it seems Nick thinks that maybe the horse will take money. And like I said, Gaffleon lands here. I find that horse very interesting. So 1, 4, 8 on the A line. And I'll use a little B on your recommendation.
No 3 for you either, the 2 to 1 morning line favorite. That tells me that this horse is definitely not going to be the favorite.
Yeah, no 3. I mean, there's just, I don't know. There's too many question marks, and this horse could win. But again, the layoffs, second time as a 4-year-old, only shows up by appointment, lost a jockey last time. I don't know. I'm just, that one can beat me, and it's totally fine if she does.
I hear you. And just a note for people who might just be looking at buyer's figures, that 88 that horse got on December 17th at Gulfstream on the synthetic, Timeform only has that speed figure as a 100 because of a really slow pace.
Quite low.
Yeah. So that 88 on the buyer is probably somewhat questionable, and I'll probably go back and look that up just for the heck of it. But Timeform has that race much slower.
Race 10 to finish up, and we're going a mile here. It's a 1x allowance, Justin. I had a little bit. I think I can be a little tight here with the 7 and the 8. The 8 legitimized looks pretty good here. A 9 to 5 morning line, but decent race back in February at Tampa. Missed a neck. Ended up breaking the maiden at Saratoga, going a mile and 1/8 off the bench. That's not easy to do. This horse has plenty of speed. Saya sticks here. I do think that they're probably going to have to catch this one. So I'm interested. And then I'll use the 7 Elegant Trip. You get Rusty Arnold here, third back. Broke the maiden at Ellis going 5.5, but has some back lines where the horse, they did try to go long with this one. So I think the mile should suit this horse. I like the third time back. That's a big angle for me. Really no chance last time off slow, 12-hole Kentucky Downs. Just pitch that race. So I'm interested in the race prior, because that was quite an improvement in figure off the bench here. Maybe the horse, after a little bit of layoff, 4-year-old getting better. And, Arietta's another one who can get one there, especially long shots, has ridden this horse a couple times in a row. So I'm 7-8 to finish up. How'd you see it?
Yeah, those are 2 horses that I did not use at all. And probably, Legitimize is one of those horses that I'll probably just toss on one ticket for sanity prevention, just as a C if all my other A's, my A's and the other 2 legs hit. I like the 12 here. Here's my case for the 12. Maker claims this horse off of Tom Morley, has been off for a couple months. Then he puts this horse in a condition allowance, which was for non-winners of a graded stakes on the turf. That was effectively a listed stake race with Joe Shiesty and Apollo 10 and Silent Heart for Brian Lynch. And you see the even running style sprinting. That tells me that this horse is going to be perfect stretching out. And Maker puts this horse into that race with no chance to get a race in him, immediately stretches him out. You know how Maker is great off the claim, especially second off the claim, especially stretching horses out to longer distances on the turf. This horse gets a post that I think is going to suit him because I can see him laying fourth. He's got enough tactical speed to get position early. And, that race, just a trip note on that race, that horse was 5 wide around the entire turn. And, he rolled past everyone. If you have to watch, because Keeneland's not great on catching the horses after the while. They sort of focus right on the winner. But if you keep watching the tape, you see the 13 blast past everybody like 8 seconds into the gallop out. All those things point me to this horse at 20-1. You go back a couple races and you see Mischievous Angel, who's a good turf sprinter. Yarrow, who's a good turf sprinter in New York. Smokey, Mattingly. That race completely held together on May 19th. I think this horse hasn't got a chance to show his best. I think he's going to show his best in the Maker barn, and I need him at 20-1. The other horse, I think Frontline Warrior, the 6th for Shug, has a right to run better coming out of some tougher races with the blinkers on. Sometimes Shug can pop one with the blinkers on. Big rider upgrade to IRAD. The other one that I think I want to put on my ticket as a backup is the 2, Thomas Aquinas. He's going to get another good trip. Now, that race 2 back had a perfect trip. And the winner of that race, Bench, was really good, but came back here at Keeneland and ran last because he bled. So I'm not going to hold that against him. I think that horse is still a good one. And then the one at I'm not, that Kentucky Downs form is really hard to gauge. So I don't hold it against any horse that doesn't run very well there. I think that horse is going to get a really good trip. And at 15-1, I'd have to use him as a B2. So I'm an A. The 12's an A for me. And then the 2 and the 6 are Bs. I have a question for you. Did you think the 5 coming out of that race at Indy for Paulo Lobo was at all interesting?
I like that trainer.
Yeah,
certainly. I do think that he can pop, especially with long shots.
Yeah.
So that does interest me. However, this I think is definitely a step up, and this horse has to prove it. Sometimes Indiana too can lend itself to closers, and that's another thing that I'm very leery of. I'm more interested in horses that went up close at Indiana, horses that come from way off of it. I think that course lends itself to favoring those types. So that would be one thing of pause for me with the fact that maybe this horse was with the racetrack. But again, I do like the connection. I can appreciate that he can pop with a long shot there.
Yeah, and the race, this horse was visually impressive. He ran down an even money favorite who got loose at the 8th pole, and visually he looked good coming down the lane. So I just throw that out there for people. Maybe if you're playing, trifectas, maybe you want to include him on the bottom. And just one more note on the 3, Will Take It. That one turf race looks good on paper. That field was not good. And I think that figure of 81 doesn't seem to fit that race. Although Time Form had it pretty fast too. So visually it didn't match up to the figure. I'm always a little skeptical of those races. And there were a bunch of them that finished right on top of each other. So I left the 3, Will Take It out, even though that race looks like a good one.
No interest in the 10 whatsoever off the double bar line, even though 7-2 morning line there.
No, I can't believe this horse is going to be anywhere near 7-2. I mean,
that's different.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't see really anything to like about this horse at all. Do you? I mean, is there any way you would put him on any ticket?
No, I don't, especially the double bar. And now the horse does seem to get bet in 1X type races. I mean, if you look, it
Mhm.
was 20 or was 42 to 1 in that the Ellis race there
Yeah.
back in August of last year. But if you
Mhm.
look at the allowance races, this horse took money both times, was sub 3 to 1 in both starts. So that could explain maybe the morning line. And the horse has some like distance races also.
Yeah.
So this seems like a little bit of a prep to me. I think that they want to get this horse going long, and you could see the way this horse is bred, that that would suit this one. This screams prep to me. I do think, and they'd be looking to stretch this horse out. So I really want no part of him. The only other horse I could maybe see that I don't have listed anywhere is the 11 Sea Singer. This is Mike McCarthy. Gaffleone gets on Team Valor horse, has some decent lines. I mean, they've tried some listed stakes with this one, faced endlessly whenever at 2, when nobody was beating that horse at 2 back, during that time. And really last year, into this year, the horse is just raced mostly even, and it gets a different bunch, changes scenery here. You get the top jockey right now. Tough post. You could get a price there and a very wide open race, I think. Pretty difficult race.
Yeah. And to your point about that horse, that the race 2 back, the optional 80 was a good race. I mean, West Hollywood's a good horse for Brad Cox that came back to run a 120 time figure. Navy Seal, the second horse, was a Wesley Ward horse that was first turf, second North America. Main Beach was in there for Chad Brown. Time Song was in there for George Weaver. Risk Tolerance was in there, finished near the bottom. That was a pretty good race, and I'd be anxious to catch this horse maybe second off the layoff, maybe going a little longer. I don't know. It's an interesting horse. Gaffleone gets aboard at 10 to 1. You could do worse than including that one.
All right, Justin, turf pick 3 for Friday. I just missed the one on Sunday. Really, I had all my eggs in that Roses for Deborah basket, and that was a little annoying the way it turned out because it started so beautifully. But I think that this is a very wide open sequence. You plan to get involved?
Yeah, for sure. Because on an A ticket, I'm going to have 2 20 to 1s as my lone A's, I think. And I think if you can. But the $3 increment pays no matter what. I was about to say if you can get by the 9 to 5 and the 7 to 5 in the first race, certainly it would, it would multiply the payout. But these $3 increments, you can catch a price anywhere, and it really opens up the payout. So I'm going to get involved. I'm going to play a 4x1 ticket, and then I might play one other backup ticket. Like I said, I try to get really tight and not spend too much money on these because I want to employ the bet a little to win a lot strategy, Mike.
Well, I'll be jumping in, and I'll definitely have to give some extra consideration to your long shots because you make great cases for them, and they would certainly explode this ticket. Well, this is, been fun, and I think we're going to do a few more of these shows. Keeneland has a couple weeks left, so we're going to jump in with that. Check out inthemoneypodcast.com/plus for all the trip work and all the extra pods that we are doing if you're interested. Justin, thanks for doing this, and we'll see you guys next time.
My pleasure. Good luck, everyone.